I don't have a physical body and eyes to look down, but I'm aware as I'm lifting up of the body below me. So I see it, if that's the right terminology. I see it. I'm aware of it. It's there.
Mhm.
But I also know that that is not me. I don't. That's not me. That's that's the body. And I felt sorry for the body because the body was all bad looking shape and everything in it. But I felt wonderful, and there was no pain, and I felt tremendous love.
This is Dale Cross, and welcome to another edition of the Soul Inspire podcast. This is the audio video podcast that features spiritually uplifting stories from awakening souls to help inspire you on your own soul journey. And on this episode, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Reverend Bill McDonald. He is an American author, mystic, and international spiritual motivational speaker who's been on a continuous spiritual journey for over 7 decades. He's had numerous spiritual transformative experiences and 3 near-death experiences, which we will go into on this episode. Bill, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to having a conversation with your people. I'm assuming.
Absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely. This is going to be really, really good. So we'll start where I always start, and that is, Bill, Reverend Bill, what kind of spiritual background did you have as a child?
Well, I grew up in a home where my mother read the book Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda when it first came out in 1946.
Mhm.
And so she started studying the lessons from Yogananda and his organization. And so I started off knowing about yoga and meditation and these great saintly sages and avatars and stuff like that at a very young age. In fact, I don't remember when I wasn't meditating or working towards that goal of finding something greater than myself. Even at the age of 3, 4, 5 years old, I was really focused on meditation and prayer and everything else. So I wasn't your normal kid by any chance. So yeah,
Right.
so it's been up since I come into the world. I find that it's been my chosen journey. Like, some guys come in the world and they can play baseball or football, or they got some kind of talent. They can play a violin or they're a genius. I come in the world, I just want to love. I just want to give love, teach love, be love, and and then find that love within myself and others. That's it. It's very simple. I haven't
I,
changed.
I love it. I love it. That's great. That's awesome. So why don't we go into, so you've had 3 near-death experiences. Why don't we start with your earliest one first?
When I was 8.5 years old, in the early 1950s, and I was deathly sick. I had a kidney disease that was incurable at the time. I had double pneumonia. The lungs were filling up, and they were bad. It was just really infected lungs. I had started with the mumps, believe it or not. I had mumps on both sides, and that cascaded to the kidney failure and the lungs and being anemic, and then getting about 5 or 6 other diseases. The whole body just cascaded down, and I was in bad shape. By the time my parents decided to take me to a doctor, it was only the assistance of other people that saw me and said, "Hey, take this kid to the doctor. Something wrong." They just thought I had the mumps. So when I got to see the doctor, and I hadn't been away from home before, and I was just a young shy kid, they strapped me in a gurney that first night and said goodbye to my parents. And they rolled me away, and I'm hearing the conversation that they were telling my parents, "You brought him in a little late. We don't know if we can do anything," which is not encouraging words to hear. You're being wheeled away from your family, out of a hospital building to an isolation ward because you don't want to contaminate anybody else. So my first night, which ended up being my first night of 1 year in the hospital, a year, which is that's a long time. People don't realize how long a year in a hospital bed, total bed rest, Can't get out of bed. You can't get up and get a shower. No radio, no television, no playmates, no comic books, no toys, no school, no conversation with other than just medical stuff. So that was a long, long year. But that first night kind of set the tone for where this thing was going to go. The first night they did a procedure on me, and they had these big needles and they stuck them into my back, fluids out of my lungs so I could breathe, because it was like I could hardly breathe. And all this stuff came out. It had the consistency of like applesauce. It was like fluid coming out, but it was like thick. And then they got through and they put me in a bed and left and turned the lights off. There I am. Nobody's monitoring me. I'm not on any machines, nothing else. I'm just laying in a dark room. First time away from home. First hour or two that I've been by myself. And I'm in a darkened room in total pain. The lungs are hurting. If you got kidney disease, your back hurts. You got all this pain everywhere. And it was just miserable, very uncomfortable. And then I'm laying there. And then all of a sudden in the darkness, I realized I wasn't breathing. And I realized there was no pain. The pain was gone. So I wasn't breathing. There wasn't any pain. I was very comfortable. And I was feeling light, meaning like light shining on you, but also light, like lack of weight. It's like drifting. I'm separating from this clothing of the body. It's like I'm slipping away, but just lifting. And I'm aware that the body is laying on the bed, and in this dark room, which is getting lighter and lighter and brighter, I don't have a physical body and eyes to look down, but I'm aware as I'm lifting up of the body below me. So I see it, if that's the right terminology. I see it. I'm aware of it. It's there. But I also know that is not me. That's not me. That's the body. And I felt sorry for the body, because the body was all bad looking shape and everything. But I felt wonderful. And there was no pain. And I felt tremendous love. Now, people you've interviewed that have had experiences, I think, without a doubt, every one of them has probably used the same terminology. Yeah. It's like this humongous million grandmothers giving you a hug. I mean, it's a love that you could never experience in the earthly plane, beyond words, beyond description. There's no adjective that can describe it. But when you're loved like that, you'll remember it the rest of eternity. And having been laying there by myself, abandoned by the family, and feeling alone and isolated and unloved, I felt totally loved. I felt not alone at all. In fact, I was aware of a presence. I don't know who, what, or where, but there's this bright lights around me, a divine presence. And it was more than one consciousness, but it was all together. It's like functioning like one consciousness, but there's multiple beings, for lack of a better word. Angels, avatars, rishis, who knows, great ones. But I was loved. And I knew they were with me, watching me, protecting me, guiding me. How I knew this, they didn't say that. I didn't have any conversations, but I knew that at that level. I know this is my team. I mean, they're for me, right? And so I was very, very comfortable. And then all of a sudden, this bright room, really bright light, and I call it a room, but it wasn't really a room. It's like you see in the movies, you're walking on a cloud, kind of. But it's just kind of like this cloudy surroundings. And all of a sudden, I'm seeing a panorama, a view, like television, like movies, of scenes unfolding in front of me. As it turns out, as I realize as I'm watching it, these are visions of my future,
Hmm.
things that I'm going to experience, things that will happen to me and to my world
Mhm.
in my time. And which gave me two things right off the bat. I know, whoa, I have a future. It means I got to go back to that old funky beat up body. So I was kind of disappointment, like, oh, only way this is going to happen is if I go back, right? So I'm looking at these scenes, and it was scenes unfolding, like who I was going to marry, how I was going to meet my wife, and I met her when we were 14 years old. I'm almost 80, so
Mhm.
that kind of gives you an idea that it did work out. We did get married, and we're still married.
Mhm.
I saw my children. I saw myself in the Vietnam War. I saw myself on a helicopter with a machine gun, looking out the view, watching who was going to get blown up and shot up, and who was getting killed, and who was getting wounded. And
Hmm.
I also saw the assassination of I didn't know he was president. So I saw all kinds of things unfolding. And as it turned out, the last part of the vision was me going to India
Mhm.
and going to a place called Babaji's Cave. And I knew about Babaji's Cave because I had been read the parts of the book Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramount Yogananda, which I was talking earlier before we were
Mhm.
recording, which my mother had been introduced to in 1946, and she read me chapters of it, and I liked that chapter, and I liked the story where this great avatar comes and meets this guru in a cave and teaches him this meditation and everything. And I said, someday I'm going to that cave. And then I saw it in this thing going, no, someday there it is. I'm an old guy, I've got a beard and everything, but I'm an old guy, but I'm going to that cave. Sounds like the last unfolding experience. And as it turns out, 50 years to the very day of this first near death experience,
Mhm.
I had a heart attack and died and fell off a 30-foot cliff in the Himalayan mountains coming back from that cave. So the last vision I saw was in the cave,
Mhm.
see me dying and falling off a cliff and landing on a boulder and having a large cobra crawling across my feet to revive me, that's another whole story. And so I knew after seeing that, and oh, there was another weird thing. I'm watching this vision of all these futuristic things, and there was two numbers kept flipping through the air. There was a 29, and then the two would flip. If you take a two and you turn it upside down and backwards, it looks like a five. So it was like
Mhm.
29.59, 29.59. I'm going, what's that? So I was thinking when I eventually came back and everything, and as time went by, I thought 29.59. Maybe that's a warning that if I don't take care of myself, I'll be dead at 29.
Hmm.
Or maybe I'll make it to 59. Maybe 59, that's my death day, right?
Mhm.
That was my thought. So I came back. I didn't share this experience with anybody at the hospital. I didn't share it with the family. Nobody talked about these things in the 1950s. You just didn't talk about this. Nobody's going to believe you anyway. And number two, the event felt so special and sacred to me. I didn't want it judged or analyzed or discussed with others. I wasn't looking for approval. It happened to me. I figured it was for me. That's good enough.
Mhm.
As time went by and I told people these things I saw and they happened, people kind of wonder how I knew all these things. But so the next morning, I'm in my bed after I come back. When you come back from that kind of experience, from being light and loved, and all of a sudden you're back in this body. You feel like you've just gained 400 pounds or 500 pounds. I mean, you're just, and
Mhm.
you got pain. You got everything you left behind in that body. I still got to go through it. I got incurable kidney disease. I got lung disease. It's not good. I got all these other problems, and not a great prospect that nobody's looking for me to get out of there. But I laid around the hospital and had nothing to do 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I had visitors, usually on Sundays for like 10 minutes. Parents come by, hi, goodbye, boom, and that was it. Rest time I was on my own. So I didn't want to just lay there every day bored.
Mhm.
So I looked at it as totally, I embraced it as an opportunity for me to practice being a monk. I mean, here I am. I got all day to meditate, all day to talk to God, all day to pray, all day to just explore my inner thoughts or no thoughts. Uh, and I didn't know too much, but I knew from my mother taking self-realization fellowship lessons that Yogananda's organization had put out. The first thing they teach you is what they call recharging exercises. These are like yogic exercises, but more Western orientated. And
Mhm.
you do things and you visualize energy coming through your head and then your chakras, and it charges your body up, and you get this energy so you can meditate. So I figured, well, I can also use that to charge my body with healing energy too. And so I just started visualizing all this loving light coming in, and then charging my body up into bed and everything. And I figured, someday I might be able to use all this stored up energy for something. Meanwhile, I got myself well. I got myself out of the hospital after a year when it was predicted I wasn't even going to live. So even though it wasn't speedy recovery, it was a recovery process.
Mhm.
I got out of the hospital, and of course, other things. But I'm laying there in the hospital. What's interesting, I'm laying there in the hospital. I think I'm making up meditation techniques. I'm laying there one day, and I wake up and I'm going, huh, I'm visualizing light and energy coming through my navel. I'm visualizing when I take an upward breath, I'm visualizing the breath coming through my navel and going up my spine and coming down my spine with light and love and energy. And I was doing all these things like that. And I thought, well, these are interesting little things I'm making up. When I went to India the first time and I met a Tibetan monk who didn't speak English, I didn't speak Tibetan.
Mhm.
I spent 3 days with him and learned more than I ever learned from anybody in my life, even though we didn't speak a word. And he showed me this Tibetan technique and he showed me this hands and gestures, how you breathe through your navel and do exactly what I'd made up. And I go,
Mhm.
wait a minute, I've been doing this as a child. I thought I made it up, but apparently there's really such a technique. And
Mhm.
along with a couple other techniques, I found out that I had made up, quote unquote, if you can do such a thing, which kind of got me to realizing that even though you're pulling thoughts and energy and ideas from the universe around you, there really is only one consciousness.
Yeah.
So if it's out there, there's nothing new or really invented. It's just discovered by you. That's all. You
Right.
found you found something that was already there.
Mhm.
That's the case of this. So anyway, so I get out of the hospital. I'm out my first week, and my dog had a pet dog, and the dog got out of the house and ran out in the street, and got run over by a car about 40 miles an hour. Sklapat! It was flattened. It was laying there. Tongue was hanging out the corner of its mouth, had blood coming out corners, blood coming out of the nose, blood coming out of the tear ducts, blood coming out of the ears. And it was just, it was dying. It should have been dead. It was really bad shape. I picked it up in my arms, I brought it in my house, and I'm going, I love this dog. And I know that this recharging exercises and the things I was doing in the hospital for myself, I thought that could work for this dog too. So I'm recharging myself, and I'm visualizing energy light coming to the top of my head. Back then I didn't say that, the crown chakra or something. I just go to the top of my head, down my spine, it's kept it simple. And I'm visualizing all this. And then I put my hands on the dog and I focus on releasing all that energy through my fingers into the dog
Mhm.
with great love, thinking in my mind that love is the greatest healer of all. It's the greatest energy. And if I really love this dog and then charge it with this, infuse it with this energy that was present in me, I was gonna fix the dog. That was it. There was no doubt. It was no, this is going to work. And I grabbed the dog, and When I put my hands on the dog, it was like static electricity coming out of the fingertips.
Hmm.
The dog, like he got shocked. He ran around the house and never took him to a veterinarian. He was good. End of
Wow.
story. Yeah.
Wow. Fantastic.
Never went to a vet. And I thought, love with energy, greatest combination in the world. But you got to have love. Energy without love is not quite as effective. But when you infuse love, you can even have less energy. Love is the key.
Hmm.
That's what I came away with. And I used this technique over the years, for my daughter had a broken kneecap. They were supposed to operate on it. And it was like a bunch of pieces and they had x-rays. I go, no. Boom, I did this on her knee. She didn't have to have the operation again or at all. I've used it taking people out of comas. I've used it for all kinds of practical purposes. And now I'm going around the world teaching this technique as well in my lectures around the world. But bottom line was, when you have a near-death experience, especially at an early age, it kind of sets you in a different direction than other people. And I think everybody that has a near-death experience kind of finds their own road, their own path, based on your spiritual beliefs and faiths. If you're, Catholic would have different experience than a Mormon, than
Right.
a Muslim, than a Buddhist, than a Hindu, etc.
Hmm.
I think what you believe influences the experience that you have to some degree, because it's going to filter through that.
Yeah.
Not that any of them are wrong or any of them are the only one. It's just that God is so diverse. If this makes you happy, that's what you're going to get, right?
Yeah.
If you expect to see Jesus there, you're probably going to see Jesus and angels. If you expect to see your dog that passed away waiting for you, you're probably going to see the dog.
Hmm.
I believe that the divine is very good about giving us what we desire, makes us comfortable. But the love is the same in all the experiences. And I've talked to a lot of near-death experiences. I've talked to probably over 1,000
Hmm.
I know and talk to. Everybody says the same thing. It's love. And you feel this oneness with the divine source. There's nothing separate from it. There's just God. See,
Yeah.
and at that stage of life, I started realizing, to me, God wasn't some old guy with a beard walking around, a white guy, and he's sitting on a thing and he's making judgments. And,
Right.
you know, to me, the divine source is love. However you see that love, if you see it as Jesus or Buddha or express whatever way you want it, I don't care.
Yeah.
Always love, because everything is made out of love. Everything is made in the divine image. Everything's made in God's image. Therefore, there's nothing that is not God. So if you see God as Jesus, great. It's God. You see
Hmm.
it as whatever. So to me, that was a big takeaway being a young person having this experience. I came away realizing that no matter what you do, no matter where you go, it's only about love. And if there's no love, then you're going down the wrong path.
Right.
And so all my life, I'm kind of going there. And then when I was 18 years old and I moved to the YNI, I graduated high school. 24 hours after I graduated high school, I left home. I had your bar wax surfboard, you're Californian, you got to go surf, right? You go into Hawaii, go in the land of big waves, right? So I go there and I only got $40, not too smart, one-way ticket. And of course, I ran out of money very quickly. But I was given my little sister gave me the address of her boyfriend's grandfather. She said, this guy's some kind of big shot in Hawaii. If you need a job, maybe this guy helped get you a job or something. Turns out he was a kahuna priest. Think of
Huh.
like a shaman, like a Native American or something. Well, in Hawaii, in the old Hawaiian religion, the kahuna religion, they have kahunas. They're like
Hmm.
priests. And they practice this old time religion, which is based on nature and things. Probably the closest thing energy wise to the Hawaiian religion, according to yogis I've talked to, and according to a couple of gurus, is the Nath tradition in India, which seems to have the same energy frequency as the Kahuna religion. Different cultures, different language, different words, different mantras, but the same energy. Interesting. So it was like, so I was told that when I was in India. I didn't know that at the time, but so there I was as a young man, and I met this guy. He was in his 60s. I was 18, and I went to see him, and he said he was expecting me, and I thought he meant somebody told him. Nobody told him, but he'd been waiting for me because he says I was his Kahuna. I was his teacher in ancient Hawaii during King Kamehameha's day. I was and him and others learned from me, and he just wanted to give me this information back to me. And I'm going, he says, I'm going to teach you how to love. I'm going to teach you how to heal. I said, heal? Okay, okay, teach you how to heal. I already got my own method, but okay, great. So he says, do you want to learn how to heal others? So I'm ready to write this down and remember it. He says, first thing you got to do is you got to love yourself. I'm going, what? Heal others, and you want me? First thing I got to do is love me. Yeah, and he says, and then you got to forgive you. No shame, no blame, no guilt. You got to love yourself. You got to forgive yourself. I go, that's it. And he goes, oh, and you got to have gratitude, for everything, good, bad, ugly, doesn't make it. And I'm thinking, oh, there's some useless information. I'm ready for this guy. I'm never going to use it. And then as time went by, and I got a little older, hopefully a little wiser, I realized my whole life I've been actually using it. And now I've acknowledged it in the last couple decades. And I'm practicing it. I've added that to my original yoga techniques. And I've developed a technique that uses the old Hawaiian healing with the yoga healing with my own little fix. And I've been going around the world, Switzerland and India and the Czech Republic and Germany and the UK and you name it, all over the world and across the United States, teaching this method, which is all about self-love and self-healing. Telling people essentially, you are your own guru. You are your own teacher. The trouble is, why that's only half truth, is that most people are their ego prevents them from truly seeing who they really are and what they are and how developed they are. People who have an inflated view of themselves, they don't see their faults, or they see nothing but faults and don't see the good part of themselves. And so you need mentors. You do need some form of teacher, especially at the beginning of this process, because you can wander in self-delusion. So having a quote unquote guru or a teacher, a mentor, a coach, totally expected, and probably you should have one. All right. But as you evolve and start going up this stairway to heaven, let's say, right, this understanding as you grow, you realize in the end, no matter how much you love the guru or the teacher, you got to do all the work yourself.
Right.
You have to bless yourself. Guru can bless you and say, follow me. And no, you got to do everything. And you really have to become your own guru. And you have to believe in you, and you have to love you. And when you teach people to love themselves, and then you teach them that God is within, and when you're loving yourself, you're really loving that God within you. There's no difference. There's no separation. So when you love yourself, you're really loving God, which people have trouble with that thought, because most people pray to God like God is up in heaven away someplace else, right?
Right.
But the kingdom of God is within. It's here. It's us. There's only one dreamer, but all these egos think they're all dreaming their independent dreams, right? So we're all here in this great play, dreaming away, thinking that I'm Bill, and whoever you are, right? You have a life story and a life history, and if you believe in that I-ness, that personal history, then you have a body. So you're talking to me, I got a body, right? So therefore I got an ego. There's nobody going to come to you and say, I have no ego, because they got a body. You don't know the body's gone, you're back, you're one with the source. So So getting rid of the ego is the ultimate thing. I mean, even if you die and you become an angelic being or a beam of light or a rainbow body or this cosmic light of love that flows through the universe, you still have an identity of some kind. You're still not merged. You haven't merged, because when you merge, you're none of that. You're God. So that's what I'm trying to teach people. And I do workshops all around the world. And it's interesting because I talk about this stuff and I'm expecting the people in the audience to go, oh man, it's amazing that wherever I go and I throw this out, everybody looks at me like, yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, I kind of felt that. I thought that, maybe I haven't said that, but I kind of thought it feels right. It's interesting how that message is universally accepted from Czechoslovakia to Switzerland to Iceland to Hawaii. Everywhere I go, it's like they're ready. Well, they meaning a small group. I mean, I'm not going out to certain places, but those people that come to hear me, they're ready to hear me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not looking for a million people to follow me or to be a leader of any kind of group. What I'm really looking for is to plant the seeds of love in others. I want to encourage people to become lovers of the divine self. And when you love yourself, and then you realize, well, the God in me, is God. Well, therefore, the God in you is the same God that's in me. We're one.
Right.
There's no separation between us. I mean, even my enemy is God.
Yeah.
What? Everything that's been created is God. Even the cancer I have that I've been fighting, it's God. It's all one. There is nothing that is not God. And if that is true, then you have to love everything. If the good, the bad, and the ugly makes no difference, you love it all. Because everything that happens to you is supposed to happen to you. There's no accidents. And I'm not one of these people that the big new age thing is everything's a lesson, which to me sounds like a punishment. Like, oh, you did, it's karma, it's a lesson,
Right.
Well, a lesson, you send a child to the room, no meal, right? It's a lesson, right?
Mm-hmm.
I phrase that differently. Maybe it comes out the same way, but it's different.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lesson, but a gift. They go, what do you mean a gift? I got cancer. It's going to teach you to become more spiritual. It's going to teach you to be more humble. It's going to teach you to be more sacred and to appreciate people in your life and to become more loving. There's a lot of things that cancer will do for you that being healthy wouldn't. It's a gift. So whatever happens to you in your life, unemployment, divorce, whatever it is that happens in your life that you look at and you label it as bad, you're missing the point. It's a gift. Look at it and say, what is Reverend Bill talking about? Is he, what do you mean a gift? A divorce is a gift? Well, it might be. You might go a whole new direction in your life and find great spiritual values and things. It may set your whole life off on a better journey. You don't know where it's going to go. You don't know what's going to happen with having an accident and getting crippled, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Look at what's the gift from this experience, because every experience is there to teach you. It's all a gift. Everything is to help you evolve to the next level. It's an evolutionary process. So you're never being punished. Oh, it's karma, I'm being punished. No. It's all happening to you to shape you and grow you. I mean, if you got a fruit tree and you're trying to grow it, you cut off branches that aren't so good, and the tree's going, oh, but you cut off a branch, and you uproot the roots and you do this and that. You take it. You're not trying to kill the tree. You're trying to make it stronger. You get rid of the bad stuff. You make it stronger. This is a spiritual lesson here. You're having the bad branches, the dead branches, and the weak branches cut away. And you're growing spiritually stronger. Everything is there that comes to you for your spiritual awakening. It's ultimately for your awakening. Which brings you to another whole thing. I'm in a hurry. I want to get out of here. Everybody's this big, like there's a race to get enlightened, right? I'm telling people there's only now. And if there's only now, future now, past now, it's all now.
Mm-hmm.
No one's getting more enlightened quicker than anybody. It's all one. It's all God.
Yeah.
There's no race. There's no competition. We're all destined to wake up.
Yeah.
All in a future. In a future now, you're a Buddha someplace, maybe meditating in the Himalayas or something. That's your fate. Your destiny is to awaken and become an enlightened one. And then from there, your next destiny is ultimately be, absorbed. You're back with the oneness.
Mm-hmm.
That is the absolute destiny of everybody that ever breathed and everything that's ever been created. Everything goes back to God. Everything. And since everything is made out of the same, everything's made out of God, right? God made this, everything's made out of God. Well, I look at God as like atoms, but I look at the atoms made up of, strings and all these things. No, it's the energy that holds all these things together. What is that energy? The energy is love. And when that energy vibrates in the creation, the universe, the cosmos, whatever, when it's vibrating, that energy makes a sound. Christians try to call it the Amen. Amen.
Mm-hmm.
They go Om. But it's always trying to find that vibrational sound that the universe of creation makes and sings to us through our very fiber, through our cells. Everything is vibration. Every cell in your body is vibrating. Everything. So there we are in a vibrating universe, practicing love, which is the highest vibration of all, because it's the God cell. It's what everything is made out of, love.
Right.
So
So,
however people want to, relate to their God, to their churches or whatever.
yeah.
I'm not out to change anybody's beliefs or faiths. See, and realize there's a reason they call it a belief or a faith, because it's based on somebody's beliefs. It's based on their faith. This guy says this, interprets this way, and you have to have faith to accept it. I go down a different track. I say, base everything on experience. You experience it, it is your truth. Otherwise, it's just faith. It's a belief.
Mm-hmm.
So what you experience and what I experience is my truth. So, but the truth that everybody can experience, even a child, a baby, and you don't have to teach people anything about it. Think about this: a baby comes into the world, but if you smile and you look at a baby and you give a baby love, the baby responds to love. A baby does not have to be taught this gesture, this face, these emotions, this energy means love. A child knows love when it's real.
Mm-hmm.
And just the opposite, a dog will know love when you give dog love, right? It's love doesn't have to be taught. Hate has to be taught. Prejudice has to be taught.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of that going on in the world. But when you're born in this world, you're very receptive to love. And all you have to offer the world is love back. And that is the ultimate communication. Love.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Now, you said you were talking about that everybody will eventually be absorbed, back completely merging with God. Now, would you say that there's a larger aspect of ourselves that's already fully absorbed?
Oh,
Because everything's in the now, right?
we are delusion. We are an illusion. We're not.
Okay. Right.
Oh,
Okay.
we're already we're already there. It's like we whatever reason that we inhabiting a body with a human mind will never understand,
Mm-hmm.
created this ego and identity and pain and suffering, and it's all his, joy, pain, it's all together, it's all there.
Mm-hmm.
I, who knows, can't answer, but I do know this. I know the source is love. And I know that already my destiny, and in the future now it's already there, is that It's like we're caught in a dream right now. It's like if you're asleep at night and you have this dream of me and you are just being chased through the jungle by a wild beast or something. And I mean, we're taking it all for real. There's fear. There's, oh, we got. And then when you wake up, you go, oh, none of that was real. That was a whole life in that dream, but none of it was real.
Mm-hmm.
What me and you are doing, and others, all of us, we're caught up in this dream, thinking it's real. We think everybody else's dream is real. How do you know you may be the only person in this dream?
Could be. Just one having a dream of multiplicity.
There you go. So everybody thinks they're it, right?
Right.
But the world around them may be just the world around them as they see it. So it doesn't matter because none of it is real.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't tell people that. I can't go around the world and tell people they just lost a child or somebody there's a war in their life. Tell them, hey, look, nothing's real. Don't worry about it.
Right.
It's my leg. You can't. Nobody's ready for that lecture.
Yeah. Gotcha.
I mean, because as long as you got a body and an ego, you feel pain, and suffering. And if you believe in birth, and then you believe in life and pain and suffering, and then you believe in death because it goes with it. And if you believe in death, you believe in heaven or hell or all the variations of that, and believe in reincarnation. None of that's real.
Everything's now.
Pretty much all of us have dreamt it. And are continuing to dream it, including me and you. And philosophically, I'm telling you this. But in the real world, I still got a body and I still identify. I mean, I feel that, yeah, it's there.
Right.
So there's this big leap. But at some point in time, it's like, well, God wipes out the world. Well, does God really wipe out the world? Nobody was real.
Yeah. That's what I always thought. This is a projection of our consciousness.
Let's erase the whiteboard.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's reshuffle the deck. Let's start. Nobody got lost. It's all God.
I know. That's what I was thinking. There's all this doomsday and all this, and this is gonna happen. This, I'm like, yeah, but it's all a projection of our consciousness. And as soon as you cross over, it's all, So it's like, why are we so scared or worried about the future doomsday stuff? Like,
I'm not a doomsdayer, and
I can tell.
I really believe in. I'm more of a positive, futuristic guy.
I like that. That's good.
No revelation coming in your lifetime, your children's lifetimes, or thousands of years from now. Trust me, there is no Armageddon coming. There's no end of the world scenario with the whole world wiped out by atomic bombs. Not our future. All right.
Yeah, that's what I don't feel either. Yeah.
This earth, this creation that we have, this earth cycle, will recycle. According to those in India and China and Asia and Tibet and all these other places, and some scientists believe that we're on the fifth root race, meaning we're the fifth civilization on this planet. Or start off like caveman or something, or lower intel, and then we built up to Atlantis or something, or to the Egyptians or something, and then a great flood or an asteroid or something comes, and then the small groups kind of start over and rebuild and rediscover. Again, rediscover. We already knew as a race, but we as a human body and a mind. The DNA is evolving. It is changing with each root race. It's bigger brain, different things. You don't need fur on your body, so hair is getting less on the body. For example, you don't have a tail on human beings anymore,
right?
Etc. Right? So you evolve. I'm not one that believes totally in the theory of evolution. I believe in spiritual evolution. I would pure evolution if I could see it, the missing link, like how this guy go deep. But I see different races of Homo sapiens until maybe the strongest one survives and evolves. But it's the human soul, the spirit. This is the divine source at a greater capacity than in other animals. I mean, what separates us from a whale or a gorilla or an ant or a butterfly, whatever? There's
Hmm.
spiritual aspect of an individual soul, an ego. In the East, they believe animals have group souls, like dogs have, kind of a group soul and, all
Hmm.
this. But they also believe that if you love a cat or a dog or your pet, and every time you pet it, you're transferring human energy and love into this animal. And then
Hmm.
transfer it to eventually you'll evolve that dog or cat, let's say, from a group soul to reincarnating as an individualized soul. Boom, man, becoming a man or person,
Interesting.
way up the thing. So
Hmm.
everything in nature eventually is evolving. Minerals are evolving to rocks, to mountains, to something. Everything's evolving.
Hmm.
But to become a human, that's very, very specialized, very blessed, and who knows? I mean, it's like, who knows?
Who
So
knows?
you can get hung up trying to figure out the past, which there is no past,
Right.
and try to figure out where the future is going to go. But the future and the past are all now. It's all now.
Hmm.
And you understanding any of that doesn't make you any more enlightened. It just makes you more egotistical because you think you have knowledge. Well, back in the 1800s to 1700s, back, the earth evolved around the sun evolved around the earth, right?
Hmm.
Well, we know that's not real. Just like in 100 years from now, we're going to learn things about our physics and stuff. They go, wait a minute, we believe this? That's not true. And things that look like a miracle, somebody walking through a wall or somebody teleporting someplace or reading minds, we look at it, oh, that's strange. It's occult, it's mystical, it's magic. Someday somebody's going to realize, no, that's just, there's a law that deals with that. There's a metaphysical law that deals with that. It's like science. It boom, boom, boom. And here's how you walk through a wall because you're atoms. You're not solid, just a matter of
Hmm.
expanding and changing the vibration and the vibration of the wall. And somehow through the magic of that power, theoretically, you should be able to do that. And when we understand these things, there will be longer be miracles. They'll just be understandings, and less will be seen as a miracle.
Right. Now, earlier you talked about you talked about getting rid of the ego. Do you think it's better to integrate the ego or to kill the ego?
Well, first off, you can't kill it.
Exactly.
I mean,
It's part of us to have an experience, right? This belief in separation allows us to have an experience.
taking a breath means you believe in your lungs and you believe in your need for oxygen. I mean, it's just,
Right.
I'm not thinking about egotistical like a politician. That's different.
Right. Right.
I'm talking about a self identity with
Identity.
history. I'm a body. I have a hand. I have fingers.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's like this body thinks it's a body, but it's made up of all these individualized living organisms, cells. And if you go into the gut, there's individual things in the gut that are living off of you,
Yeah.
billions of
Yeah.
microbes in there that are doing their things and living. And I think they said once upon a time, if you took away the body parts and just left all the living organisms in your body, you'd still have a shape of a body. You would still look like a body.
Sure.
All these living organisms within you, right?
Yeah.
They all think that they're they, but they're part of the whole. So think about us as one of these little microcosms living on this little planet where we think we're something special, when we may be in fact just the body of God.
Right.
Uh, you know, it's like I met a Native American once. We're sitting by a campfire, and he's telling the story of his ancestors, and they're talking about the stars. And he's the chief or the medicine man's telling his son. He goes, if you took all these stars out there, and you condensed them down, you see God. That'd be the image of God. And if you took you, talking to the child, right? If I took you and kept expanding you and got you bigger and bigger, pretty soon I could be able to see through you, and it'd be like stars. Now we know they're atoms. Back then they didn't know that, but it'd be like
Mhm.
cosmos. And you get bigger and bigger, and you look exactly like the night sky.
Hmm.
Bigger you go, and the smaller you go, it's the same thing. So it's
Right.
cosmos. You go into a microscope, it gets cosmic world in there, right? So it doesn't make if you go bigger or smaller, it's the same thing.
Mhm.
But that's all in the world of creation. If you get past the creation and just realize that everything is vibration of love,
Yeah.
and you can argue all you want about the Big Bang and how it started and this and that. Then you got to get back to, well, this first day there's this Big Bang, and the first day God created light and
Mm.
dark stuff.
Yeah.
Well, if all now is now, but that if you talk about now, there's also a past now because it's now, and there's a future now. So in the
Yep.
first, there's a past now and a future now in the very first moment. And when was the first moment? And who birthed God? Where did he come from? What's his origin? Right?
Mhm.
Does God have a God that dreamed him?
Right.
Is God just a dream of another God? I asked that question in India, and a bunch of gurus go. They go,
Right.
the guy tells me, he said, maybe like Russian dolls. Maybe this God is dreaming this God, and that God's dreaming that God, and that world, and that guy's dream. Who knows? So to me, it's not about who knows or what it means, because that's just all intellectual pursuit and philosophy.
Yeah. Right.
Live your life with purpose and love. Live your life to love and serve. And then all these other questions, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
You live life, you brought joy, you brought happiness, you brought peace. If nothing else is true, it doesn't matter.
That's a good way of looking at it. I like that.
That's your gift to the world. It doesn't matter.
Beautiful. Now it was interesting because at the beginning you were talking about you actually you knew certain things would happen before they happen. So do you believe that everything is predetermined, or do you believe there's kind of like two tracks? Because there's also something called the law of attraction where we can create our own reality. So
Uh,
can we diverge?
here's what I believe.
Okay.
I've been all over the map on this over the last 80 years of my life. I mean, it's like all over. It really gets down to this. In a future now, here's the possibilities. If I take that road, it's going to lead to that future.
Okay.
That's my choice. Based on my decisions. Where I'm at today is based on my free will and my free choices that created my future. But I always have the free will, even though it may be hard because I'm locked in with past karma,
Mhm.
but I always have the free will to some degree, alter and change that future projection
Right.
by what I do in the present now. So, do we really have free will? That's the bigger question.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, we're all going home to God. We're all waking up. So, is that our free will coming, bringing us back?
Right.
The divine wants us to use our free will to go back there and choose that. But everything that happens to in our life goes against the principle of us not going back. In other words, it stops us from retrograde. It thinks, it's like if you're an alcoholic and you're doing drugs, what happens? God eventually pushes you down the gutter until it's so painful that you have to change. Like, I can't take it anymore. I got to change, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Even that is God going, no, you abused your free will. Come on, there's a better path. A little mercy, a little divine grace here. So,
Yeah.
do we have free will, or is it an illusion? I think that everything that happens to you ultimately is your choice, even if it doesn't look like it. For example, if you go and you get a reading done in India, what they call a nadi palm leaf reading, which reads your future, and it says at age 65 you're going to have lung cancer, and you're getting this reading at 25, and you're a heavy smoker. What's the first thing you're going to do? You have knowledge of something that's going to happen. You're going to stop smoking.
Yeah. 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 Right.
So now you've changed and altered that prediction. That
So
future changed, which also changes other things, because now it's changed your life after you would have had it and your death
yeah.
extent. But then you got to ask yourself, well, ultimately, was that even predicted? Were you supposed to know that? And that's how you changed it. So the ultimate answer to that is, what do you think? It's like, for me, in absolute platitudes, this is it. That I'm at that point in life that I will tell you something now, and you come back to me 5 years from now after I've had some supernatural experience of some kind, and I'm going to say, you know what I said before? Let me redirect that thought. Now, here's what I'm thinking now.
Mhm.
Right? Until you're totally centered and anchored in the nowness of all, and self-realized, your truth is going to change.
Yeah.
And for it not to change is a mistake, because if you just to be the same and to live what you believed just for the sake of being, this is the way it was, I believe this is what's going to be, that limits you. You can't grow if you're never going to be willing to change what you believe.
Right.
If you're a Muslim or you're born again Christian or whatever religion you are, Scientologist, Mormon, Catholic, doesn't matter, whatever you are. If you want to stay in that box and never explore nothing else, never read another book, never listen to anybody else, you'll stay in that box. You're never going to change. You're never going to alter it. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? That's only up for you to answer. But if you go out and you explore things and realize, maybe there's a grain of truth in all religions that practice love.
Yeah.
Maybe the real truth is God has no religion. There are no special people. There are no special chosen religions. That it's just about love. So whatever religion or belief you have, if it practices love, then that should be your dogma.
Yeah.
Love, serve, give. And if you're doing these ceremonies and you believe in that holiday, who cares? You're having fun. You're with your family. You're enjoying it. It brings peace and wellness to you, and you feel God's love that way. Who could say you're wrong? Who cares? Not for me to say, hey, change your religious beliefs. If you're
Exactly.
great, I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
Nobody should be beating anybody up to think like they do.
Beautiful. So life is it's all about love, period, full stop.
That's it. So in the beginning, when you discover that, the sooner you discover that, the more opportunity you have to serve at a higher level. Meaning, when you realize it's all about love, and even if you work at a job as a janitor at some company, which is sweeping the floor as an act of love to make it habitable and clean and sanitary for all the people that work there, because you love them all, because they're all God, and the boss is even God, and the company's God, everything's God, and you sweep the floor with love for God, you found your purpose. You don't have to be the CEO. You don't have to be a miracle worker and get a Nobel Peace Prize. Whatever you do, saturate it with love and service. Be the best father you can be. Be the best brother or sister you can be. Be a good neighbor.
Yeah.
Love your enemies. I got a couple rules. One, you got to love everybody because everybody is God.
Yeah.
But rule number 2 is just as important for your own self-protection. You don't have to like anybody. This guy just murdered 10 people. Well, I love him because he's, but I don't want to associate with him, and he should be in jail. And I don't want nothing to do with this person because they're bad for me. That's okay.
Yeah, sure.
You don't have to like anything anybody does or like what they do, because you're following the rule that says you have to love yourself. And if you love yourself, you're not going to let anybody abuse you, hurt you, in any form, mental, spiritual, or physical. So you don't want somebody beating up and killing you. You don't want somebody raping you, beating you up, cheating you. You respect you, the God in you. So you protect that. So you don't allow those people to get into your frequency, your range of vibration.
Yes. Yes, absolutely great. So Reverend Bill, let me ask you this. Are you open to people reaching out and contacting you?
Yeah, I try very hard. I get over 1,000 emails a week, but
I'm sure you do.
I try very, very hard to answer people. And if it's just saying, hey, watch this video, this might answer your question, or I'm sending you a prayer. There's some people that write me and I go, you really need some professional help. I mean, I got some problems, just that no bumper sticker answer is going to help them. And it's just giving a quick shot. It's like, no, you really have some serious stuff here. So, I mean, you've been abused. You've had this happen.
Right.
Get some professional help. But I send everybody love.
Yep.
And I'm out now traveling the world. Uh,
Okay.
and they can find me on my website,
Yeah, what's your website?
www.revbillmcdonald.com. Just revbillmcdonald.com. And or they can go to Facebook, and I got two Facebook pages.
Okay.
One for being an author, Rev Bill McDonald author, and then
Mhm.
I got my personal one, which is filling up, but they follow either one they want if I got room for them. And I post on there my events where I'm giving my free workshops. I go around the world. I don't charge a penny.
Really?
I give away free workshops on healing,
Hmm.
love, and I have yet to charge anybody anything. I pay for my
Oh,
trip, pay for all my expenses. I thank God that people see what I'm doing, and through their love and generosity, people I find donations when I'm doing an event. I usually have a little box at the back room that says,
sure.
donation, and
Good.
maybe the 15-second thing at the end of it, I say, hey, if you want to help me out, there's a box in the back, drop something in there. That's all I say. I don't know who puts in there, but I usually collect enough money to pay for the rental of the place. And
Hmm. Very good.
so I have, as of yet, been traveling around the world, thousands of dollars out of my pocket. I broke even
Oh, okay.
uh, through the generosity and love of others. But I don't, I do it. If I lose money, I lose money. The thought never occurs to me.
You just
Whatever,
do it.
it's not a business. And I figure I got another, with my health and everything, I got another 8, 10, 12 max years left in my life. So I got,
Okay.
and I want to go out and find those souls out there
Mm-hmm.
that think of themselves as a vehicle for love and service, that want to help, that want to heal at different levels, that have some spiritual, what's the word I like? So spiritual gifts and abilities. I want to find these individuals and train them with a series of workshops starting next year. This year, I'm just kind of looking for people. But
Mm-hmm.
eventually, I'm curious, and I want to take these people that are younger than me, the 30s, 40s, 50s,
Mm-hmm.
and these people and give them the knowledge and the wisdom that I've accumulated in 7, 8 decades of my life, and let them carry on. Because I'm gone. I don't copyright anything I teach. You want it, teach it. If you want to change it, make it better, improve it, go ahead.
Wow.
I the cosmos. There's nothing new. I just rediscovered things, right? I just
Yeah.
labeled it and turned it into mind, but there is no mind. So everything belongs to the divine source.
No, good. I like that. That's
So when
great.
I leave, I want people to pick up the message, not the messenger. People forget about me, it's okay. But the message is always,
Message.
you're here to love and serve. End of story. If they don't remember anything else about Reverend Bill, he's come to tell you that you got to love yourself. And when you love yourself, that means you love your
Yeah.
friends, enemies, everybody.
Well, I appreciate you, Reverend Bill. That's a beautiful message. And did you say you have a new book coming out? Because you said you've written a number of books. Do you have a new book?
I got a new book coming out in 2025
Oh,
called
okay.
Still Remember Tomorrow, which is going to have all kinds of stuff about health and healing. And then I got books out there, a whole series if you go to Amazon. But I got them in German, I got them in Spanish, I got them in English.
Hmm.
Alchemy of a Warrior's Heart, that's my last book about trips to India and miracles, near death experiences. And then my autobiography is called Warrior, a Spiritual Odyssey. They can go to Amazon, they can find these. I got award winning poetry books online. I got all, I'm in all kinds of books, including books on PTSD, like this wonderful book where I helped with some of the stuff on it. I wrote the back thing. Uh, I'm everywhere. I never look for credit. It's like if I help you with a book, I help you with the book. Take it, it's yours. Go publish it. You don't have to mention me if you don't want to. That's
Wow. No attribution needed, really.
yeah. It's everything's to give away.
Yeah.
And if you
Okay.
can't buy a house, if you make the mistake like some people do, they go, "Well, I really like that artwork." I do art.
Hmm.
Take it. My wife goes, "Geez, that was an expensive frame." I go, "No, they like it. Let them take it." Right. So I've given away hundreds of pieces of art. If you got
Oh,
a piece of crystal, you like it, take it. I got a special rock. Yeah, you can use it. Take it. You know,
wow.
it's
Okay.
I've given away. I used to have all kinds of ukuleles back there, or I had a whole bunch of them. I gave them away, and all kinds of somebody. You like that? Here, learn to play this. Learn to play this. Learn to just give them away. I'm practicing now what in Sweden is called death cleaning.
Death cleaning. What's that?
Death cleaning is when you get to be 50 or more, you take a look at yourself and you say, if I died tomorrow, what are my children going to throw away?
Hmm.
They're going to inherit this place. They're going to get rid of these books. They're going to get rid of these certificates. They're going to get rid of these awards, these clothing. Get rid of, don't wait to have your children do it. Start getting rid of it now. Get rid of all that clutter in your life. I got a basic rule. If you haven't worn it in a year, get rid of it. If you haven't used it in a year, get rid of it. If you haven't read it in a year, get rid of it. Give it to somebody. Give it life while you're alive. Give it to somebody that would appreciate it and value it. But just till you eventually end up with a room that's just you sitting on the floor with God.
Wow.
On your last day, that's a perfect place to be. There you are.
Yeah. Okay. So if there's so everybody check out his books in Amazon, just put your name in there, Reverend Bill McDonald, and then
Way, or I think a lot of times it's William, and then in parentheses it says Rev Bill McDonald Jr.
oh, okay.
But if they go to their website, they'll be able to find my books. And if they want to make a donation to help me with what I'm doing, they can go to my website.
Yeah.
They can my PayPal account, which people do, which amazes me.
That's cool.
Helps pay for my trips to Europe and different places.
Yeah.
Where I give away free talks and free work.
There you go. Okay, so you got, yeah, so we'll make sure that we put your website in the show notes underneath the video and underneath your face on the video. And Reverend Bill, if there's one last thing that you could share with the world, what would it be?
Be like a child. Surrender to God. God is the ultimate mother, father. And just love the divine. Too many people go into meditation wanting to get something. They want to get self-realized. They want to become a master. They want to escape ego. Except, they want to get well. They want powers. Go to the mother, father, the divine, just to say, I love you. That's it. Want nothing.
Wow.
Cool. That's all. And everything else you'll get. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's the irony, right? When you don't want anything, then everything's provided that you do need. Everything just flows. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Reverend Bill McDonald, for being on Soul Inspire today.
For my Hawaiian Islands.
There we go.
Well,
hang loose in Hawaii. Very good. Okay, thanks so much, Bill. And that's another edition of Soul Inspire. See you next time. The Soul Inspire podcast is brought to you by DaleCross.net. Discover the freedom, bliss, and ecstasy within you. At DaleCross.net, I can help connect you with your soul's purpose, passion, and mission. Your soul signed up for something great. Discover what it is with the tools I offer. Book a free one-on-one consultation now at DaleCross.net and live your greatness.